Welcome back. Now let's look at the International Vulture Awareness Week. Some of you are going to say, what? Awareness Week for the vulture, that ugly animal, and some of you will remember that poem. Well, vultures are an ecologically vital group of birds that face a range of threats in many areas where they occur. Populations of many species are under pressure, and some species are facing extinction. They play a major role in cleaning up the ecosystem, such as eating up animals' carcass that would otherwise go to waste. Not just go to waste, some may even rot and cause disease and cause all kinds of, epidemics and all that. So there is indeed an International Vulture Awareness Week. So to tell us all about that is Joseph Onoja, who's Technical Director at the National Conservation Foundation. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Oh, you're actually...
Yes, I'm actually adorned, hooded vulture. Yeah.
So what is International Vulture Awareness Week? And before you answer that, I would like to say that I did my youth service in Jos.
Okay.
And vultures were
Everywhere.
And they were such a nuisance. And you looked at them like, what are these things looking for? They're so ugly. Can't they go and hide in the forest somewhere? But we have since learned that they do serve a purpose.
Yeah, they do. And actually, okay, let me start from there. I actually grew up in Jos. And at the point in my life, I grew up close to the abattoir in Jos. Yeah, so I saw plenty of them. But up till now, I still have memories of, and it's still haunting me, because then I was not an ornithologist, but I noticed that vultures were falling from the sky.
How do you mean?
Yes, literally falling from the sky. When you take the bush path towards the market, you see vultures falling from the sky, and that's because they have been poisoned. Because when you are coming back, you either find the vulture is no longer there or the head is gone.
Just
so that's
the head?
Yeah, just the head.
Why?
Well, then over there now, coming back to recent now, we've done a lot of market surveys, and we found out that the head of a vulture is about 15,000, 20,000, depending on who you are.
Naira.
And naira. And then the whole body is about 30,000 or 35,000.
Hold on. Do people eat vultures?
Well, when they were many, it depends on what part of the country you are. I've so traveled far and wide the country, and I've lived in different parts of the country. I can tell you that before, in the central part, when you are traveling by road, then when we used to travel by road, you are warned that at a point in time, you should not buy chicken, roasted chicken, because you may be eating vultures. That's on the central part. But when you come to the southwestern part of the country, then it's used for other things else. It's used for belief-based use and things like that. So now, coming to your question about why Vulture Awareness Week, and it's about international. Because of how they behave, because of their behavior, people look at vultures as maybe dirty birds, or some might look at it as evil birds. And it's not just only in Africa, it's international. And because of that, there are different activities of humans that have driven their population down. And what is happening, the first vulture crisis we had was in the Indian subcontinent, where they were using, because you know that the Indians, because of their culture, they don't eat cow. So what they do is that they normally use diclofenac on the cows. And when they die, they are just left there, and the vultures go in there and feed on them. So what we call biomagnification in the vultures, and then it depleted their population. So when depleted their population, they noticed a rise in the anthrax, in tuberculosis, in botulism, and other diseases, in cholera. So they trace that back to the fact that vultures are declining. The thing is that what vultures do is that they clean up the environment. When you started, you talked about waste. Actually, they didn't just allow waste, but they also clean up the environment, because when you track the process of decay, exposes that decaying matter to a lot of microbes that will cause harmful effects to the human population if it goes into the human population.
Okay. Let me bring you back again to the origin, maybe
Okay.
the species, as the case may be. There are the New World
We are the
vultures and
vultures
the
and the old
Old
world
World vultures.
vultures.
What differentiates them?
So it's okay, well, according to their taxonomic differences, just for ease of
So that the man watching you out there
okay,
who
we'll
does
know.
who's
Oh, yeah. So for us, okay, we look at the New World vultures are in the neotropics and the places like we have New World vultures in the India and American subcontinent, while the Old World vultures are the ones that are called in Africa. So that's the difference. So we have the Old World vulture. So in Africa, we have like between 7 and 9 species. But in Nigeria, we have up to 6 species. And we have one that is migrant, which is the Egyptian vulture. It migrates from the Balkan states, all the way to Nigeria. Nigeria is the southernmost part of its migratory route, and it goes back. And how did they know that? It's because of somewhere satellite tracked. So they were able to tell how they move and how they go back. And their population is also declining.
okay. The fact that they help to clean up the earth, is it are they very effective? Because if the people around the population don't know that they're effective, they'll just go ahead and continue with it.
That's exactly the
So
problem.
how is it that the people are not aware about the effectiveness?
Yeah, because they go around their normal business. You know, what we don't know, we overlook. You see, nature has created balance. God has put balance in nature so that there's no waste. See, let me take, for instance, let me take you through a slaughtering house, for the activities of a slaughtering house. They go, you slaughter, you take the best part, and then you leave the enteron. Now, that enteron that you are leaving is going to you're going to have a lot of microbes in it, which will, where you have bacteria and other diseases that can affect the human population. Then vultures go down there and clean it up. Now, while vultures are feeding on that, they are actually cleaning it up. But people think that they're just feeding on that. But if you allow that to be there and nothing happens, dogs go, rats go. And these don't have the effectiveness to be able to contain this. You know what vultures do is that it's like they take all of this and lock it in. But for the dogs and the rats, they don't have the capability of locking this in. And then they come to their homes and they expose these things to us.
But they're considered vermin.
Was that
They are considered poisonous. They are considered enemies of society.
that is because that is out of ignorance. I can state it categorically, is out of ignorance.
But at one time, you thought of them that way too.
Well, probably because of because I didn't know, I consider them as dirty. But yes, but I got to know, and that is why we are creating the awareness. That's why I want people to know what these things do. In fact, it has been scientifically proven that a vulture in its lifetime does what we call an ecosystem service. That is, provides a service to us worth $11,200 in its lifetime. And that is a service that even if we have the money and the mechanism, we will not be able to do it as effective as the vulture does, because that's what nature has placed. That's what nature has put for us.
Okay, so we're talking about Awareness Week. So what is happening in Nigeria to create this awareness so that we don't look at the vulture with this thing?
Yeah. So we've been having a lot of activities going on. These activities I know is international. Actually, this concern is international. We NCF, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, is actually a partnership of what we call the BirdLife International. That's the largest partnership NGO in the world, and we have over 120 partners across the world. So together we are fighting the cause of decline of vultures. So we've been creating awareness. So we're working with some of our partners, what we call from the flyway. We have particular focus on the Egyptian vulture on one hand, and we have focus on vultures generally. Now I'll talk about the Egyptian vulture, and I'll talk about the vultures generally. Now the Egyptian vulture migrates from the Balkans where it breeds, and winters here in the sub-Saharan Africa. So along where it breeds, on the flyway and where it winters, we're trying to look at what causes its decline. So we are intervening in that. So we've had a lot of intervention with the locals in the northern part of the country. We've been to Unguru, Kano, Sokoto, Katsina, where we spoke with locals and we spoke with even traders who involved in selling vulture parts and how to create awareness. And we're even engaging with travel healers as well, so that we're able to look for alternatives, because the vultures are declining. We cannot continue business as usual. Yeah, so that's on one hand. And on the other hand, we're working in partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, where we work with Vulture to look at Vulture on one hand, and on the other hand also create awareness, trying to combat illegal wildlife trade, because it's trade in vulture parts that make people to go and buy it. Yeah.
Are there vultures in the south of Nigeria?
Yes, southern part of Nigeria, yes. In fact, well, there was in the southwestern part. Now they have so much decline. I think some of the population we have, I think few numbers. Now we'll talk about numbers. Just about a pair or so in the LCC.
A pair?
Yeah, a pair, yeah, or so in the LCC, and then you have about 6 or 7 pairs in the Lufasi Park. Yeah, so that's where I can talk authoritatively. In the south, in Lagos, that we have vultures, but in the southeast we still have some thriving populations and things like that. But even that's under threat, because 2 months ago there was a video that went viral and was saying that, oh, some people have poisoned vultures. I mean the meat, so people should stop buying meat and things like that. There are just some unscrupulous people that went there to poison the vultures. They wanted to use the vultures. You know, in fact, Nigerians go all the way to Burkina Faso to import vultures.
Don't you think that your job is an uphill task in a country of hungry people, where minimum wage is 30,000 naira? Do you not think that they will eat meat wherever they can find it?
Well, there are some meat that you will eat that you will not be able to swallow, and this is one of them.
But
because
you told me earlier that people eat vultures.
Yes, but that was in those days. But these days now we are becoming aware that they are not just for meat, but for the service that they do. The service that they offer to us is much more important. Because I always say that, and I'm going to say it again, humans are the least equipped to live here on earth.
Do you think the hungry man is going to listen to you?
Well, we are hoping that they will listen, because if they don't, they may not live to even eat the meat.
Are you saying that they're poisonous?
They're not poisonous, but we may have an outbreak. We may have an outbreak of disease that will just wipe us off.
Okay.
Not from them.
No, not from the vultures, but because they are not around to clean up the environment. So there will be an outbreak. There could be anthrax, there could be cholera, there could be tuberculosis, there could be botulism, and all of this.
Okay. We'll take a moment, and when we come back, we'll talk about what to do going forward. Please stay with us. Welcome. We're still talking the International Vulture Awareness Week. Dr. Naja.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, vultures are killed for rituals, for one thing or the other, but they are cleaners of the environment. They help to maintain the environment. But in a society that's, let me not sound pessimistic, that's becoming aware of the importance of sustaining the environment or living sustainably, as the case may be, what do we do? Besides, this is a one-week thing. I mean, it's a one-off. Yeah. And then next year we're back again. But between now and the next one, what should we be doing?
Yeah, actually, it's not just a one-week thing. We have been working, we have been creating awareness. In fact, we've been working, as I was mentioning about the project we're doing with our partners all the way from the Balkans. It's funded by the EU, called the EU Life Grant, EU Life Project. It's something that we have been doing in such a way that it creates awareness for people from the Balkans, and then we're playing our part as Nigerians. And also we want to go ahead to also talk. We've been talking with, we have the law enforcers, we have the prosecutors. We are going to have a workshop with them. In fact, we had a workshop before. We're going to have a workshop with them so that they will also be aware of this. Because vulture, according to our law, that they are under the Endangered Species Act. They're not supposed to be even handled. Yeah, so people are supposed to be arrested.
Arrested and prosecuted?
Yeah, and prosecuted.
What's the punishment?
Yeah, well, it's all encompassing. There is fine, but we're still trying to push that people can go to jail for almost 5 or 6 years, if not more than. Yes, because you know this
For a
is
vulture.
yes. If you look at the service, and it's not just about the vulture, it's about the endangered species completely. We are
Okay.
driving them into extinction. So it's a continuous thing. For instance, next week Saturday we'll be having a cyclist event to also create awareness about them. We call it a mile for the vulture. We'll be having billboards in the airport. We'll be having different leaflets and different flyers so that we can create more and more awareness. So people will become more, we'll put it more in the consciousness of Nigerians that we need to play our part. So it's not just a one-week thing, but this is just the week that is designated for vulture awareness globally. So it's for us in Nigeria, we've been doing it and we'll continue to do it and create that awareness. And not just that, but also take action as well. As I talked about the training and the market surveys. And we also, in fact, we have clusters of sellers of vulture parts and trado healers. We'll be meeting with them. We'll be trying to engage them because they are the ones that prescribe this. So we'll talk with them. Are there no alternatives? We are looking for alternatives. Because number one, the raw material is not available. So why don't we get alternatives before we drive the small population that is left into extirpation?
Vultures have suddenly become important in our lives.
Very important. You see, it's very scary when you juxtapose the service they do and what can happen if anything goes wrong. You see, that is our fear. What can happen if anything goes wrong? You see, you just need one outbreak, and the human population will be so decimated. That's the fear. It's not about the vultures. You know, they because when they go in, they take off this thing and they lock it up inside of them. They don't transmit it. Unlike the dogs and the rat that now transmit it.
Yes.
You see, so they lock it up because that's how they've been built. They're able to lock it up within them. But the rats, the dogs, sometimes even the pigs go around and then they spread it.
Now, you spoke about the vultures being on the endangered species list. Now, what other animals, should I say, are also on that list?
Well, we have the pangolins.
Oh,
Which
yes,
is
you spoke about that
the
the last
pangolins,
time.
which is globally is the most traded.
No, we don't have too
Not
many
the
pangolins in
ivory.
Nigeria, do
No,
we?
we do. In fact, during the week I was in a meeting, and someone was complaining that farmers are there's a particular crop we're discussing about, and someone said, farmers are complaining because soldier ants used to go and eat their crops. I said that's because we're looking at pest management, and that's because they have depleted the population of pangolins. Because you just need some few pangolins around, and their tongue will just sweep so many ants at the same time. But because they are not around, and that's what we call the biological control, because they are not around, then we are looking out for chemicals. And then chemicals also have their own impact in our lives as humans. So we have to go back to biological control. But so now that we have depleted their population, then we have to now see how we can go back to ensure that we have that biological control again. So so we have pangolins, we have elephants, we have some bird species as well. The grey parrot is also in endangered species. The lions are also endangered, and so on. So we have endangered species in Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Naja. Suddenly, vultures have become very important in our lives, and we have found out why. So we should learn to leave vultures alone.
Please do, please.
They play a major role in the environment, and
cleaning.
We should let them do what God has created them to do. Thank you very much for coming to tell us about Vulture Awareness Week.
Thank you very much.
And that is where we round up Sunrise for today. Hope you enjoyed being with us this past 3 hours. We will be with you again next Saturday with another interesting package. Make sure you join us. I'm Alera Edu, wishing you a happy weekend and a blessed week ahead.
And I'm Neo Tarek. We said at the beginning of the show that we're going to have Artist of the Week. He's black, but he couldn't make it. Our apologies for that. We'll let you know why he didn't make it sometime when he comes eventually. But thank you so much for watching. Make yourself the best you can be. Love your neighbor, love yourself, love this country. Have a good day.